From the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C.
So I'm now very happy to introduce Francesco Marciuliano, who writes the nationally syndicated comic strip Sally Forth and the webcomic Medium Large. Based in New York City, he was also head writer for the Emmy Award-winning children's series, Seymour's Playhouse, and has written for Smosh and the Onion News Network. Mr. Marciuliano is also the author of best-selling books that channel the thoughts of animals, including I Could Pee on This and Other Poems by Cats, I Could Chew on This and Other Poems by Dogs, and just out this month, I Need My Mommy with a K, and Other Poems by Kittens. So please help me welcome the man himself, Francesco Marciuliano.
Thank you very much. And I did spend about 10 minutes thinking I'm going to do a Jennifer Lawrence on those steps over there, so I'm glad that didn't happen. But, and I feel bad whenever anyone has to pronounce my name. I didn't make it up, I'm sorry, but it took me 15 years to learn how to use it, and I never used my middle name for that reason. It's Berardino, so that's why. Thank you very much for coming. I do want to mention, because I actually just found this about 10 minutes ago, the United Kingdom edition of I Need My Mommy is actually going to be called I Need My Mummy, which I think could not be more adorably British if it were called Oi Kittens. So I'm going to write Oi Kittens, and it's going to be poems about chavs and hobnobs. It's going to be fantastic. But as you heard, I've written a series of pet poetry books about cats, dogs, now kittens. And if you were wondering, yes, this will soon spectacularly go off the rails. And eventually it'll just be a series of poems like Please, Not the Etsy Doily, and other poems by turtles. Ha ha ha, I'm going to outlive you all, and other poems by parrots. And at least we'll have this one date together, and other poems by goldfish won at carnivals. Oh. All right, a cheerier one. I'll uproot your primroses and other poems by voles and hedgehogs for British gardeners. There we go. I should write that down. Hold on. No. Anyway, okay, so the question then becomes, so why pet poetry? Or as a few people said at the beginning, pet poetry, no. I've spent most of my life hanging around with, it sounds like we just hang out at bars, and taking care of and adopting various animals, cats, dogs, birds, fish, turtles, lizards, raccoon. The raccoon did not know it was a pet. The raccoon wondered why it was being chased around by a little kid in Lee's Huskies, being called Mortimer. The raccoon moved. But the base of the story here starts with my two cats, Boris and Natasha. And like anyone who's ever had pets, it's not just having pets, it's having a relationship, it's having a lifelong relationship even after they have passed away. And I adopted Boris and Natasha, two kittens, and by the way, if the name sounds familiar, Boris and Natasha, that's right, Tolstoy. That's a lie, Rocky and Bullwinkle. I used to tell people, oh, it's Tolstoy. But I got them shortly after college, and I had them for approximately 18 years, Natasha a little longer than Boris. And they threw me through every possible moment, every good moment, every relationship breakup, every professional up and down, divorce. This is all starting to sound a little too real. I'm just going to take the microphone and just walk around, play Muddy Waters in the background. It's going to spiral out of control fantastically. You'll love it. But they were like anyone said, they were a remarkable part of my life. And when Natasha passed away on Christmas Day, it was particularly devastating. And it's not something anyone can ever get through, no matter what age you are. And I was in my 40s. And I went into a very deep funk. And I didn't know exactly how I was going to get out of it. And then I remembered a children's book called The 10th Good Thing About Barney. And I don't know if because as a 40-something, I find all my inspiration in children's books, which is why I, back home, am just scrolling on my apartment wall with a purple crayon, hoping it's magic. Bigger apartment, bigger apartment. But for those who do not know what the 10th good thing about Barney is, it is about a child who is asked by his mom to remember 10 good things about his cat who had just recently passed away to help him through the grieving process. And that's what I chose to do, because I think when it comes to memories, you know, at first when something tragic happens, it is all the sad moments, it's the immediate moment. But what's more important is remember all the times you've had with the person, with the pet, and I wanted to do that. So I wanted to write something that was uplifting to me, and in a way I could do it, and the first thought was pet poems, because why not? And the idea was to do the poems from the perspective of the pet. I mean, I knew everything that I thought about them, but I wanted to wonder what they had thought about our relationship, what they had thought about their time here, because, you know, anyone who has a cat, they kind of look into the distance, they're constantly staring in the middle distance, and, you know, you do two things. It's either, what are you thinking? Or, what are you thinking? Which is usually when they shattered something. And so I started writing the poems. And my first thought, the first thing I came across was, I don't know why this was the first thought that happened, but it made me laugh and it made start cheering me up, was how when I'd go away for a day, let's say I came, you know, I was gone for one night, came back the next morning, Boris and Natasha would do a classic pincer move, wherein Boris would pee on my bed, and Natasha would defecate by the front door. Library of Congress, this is the top. It's all class. Which I learned around the third time, not to just swing open the door and say, I'm home, and then skid. And for some reason, this was the first thought that came to my head, and it brought joy to me. And that became the poem, I Could Pee on This, which, if you don't mind, I'm going to read. This is the first pet poem I wrote, which is a statement you always hear. The first pet poem I wrote, okay. I could pee on this. Her new sweater doesn't smell of me. I could pee on that. She's gone out for the day and left her laptop on the counter. I could pee on that. Her new boyfriend just pushed my head away. I could pee on him. She's ignoring me, ignoring her. I could pee everywhere. She's making up for it by putting me on her lap. I could pee on this. I could pee on this. So, that was the first poem. And now we know how to say pee in American Sign Language. Thank you. I didn't mean to throw off the rhythm. So after that, I did what most writers do. I didn't show it to anyone. I wrote a bunch of poems, put it aside, and thought that was it. And I'm not quite sure what I thought the process was going to be after that, but it was more of a healing process. It wasn't something that I'm thinking, ooh, book. It was just a way of dealing with it. So I put it aside. And then Charlie Sheen had a public mental breakdown. This is in a different presentation. We're still holding on to this. And I accidentally came across it online, I think through the Onion AV Club. And, you know, I hadn't listened to radio, at least terrestrial radio, in a while, but they had an interview, and I listened to it. And as we all know, it was bat insane. And my first thought was, I want to pull these quotes, and I want to put them in the voice of my character from Sally Forth, Ted, the husband. And then I thought, I want to keep that job, so I won't do that. So I put them with pictures of cats and just said, cats quote Charlie Sheen, and posted it online. And in 3 days, I got 1.5 million hits. It was mentioned in the New York Times, it was mentioned in Today's Show, it was mentioned in the Wall Street Journal because, you know, finance. But what I realized at that point is like, okay, apparently the internet is 98% cat, and the other 2% going, what's with all the freaking cats? And I started posting the poems online, and they got a very nice response. And it wasn't just because, ooh, people are looking at it, or let's watch the hit count or anything like that. It really was because then I started hearing from people in the comments and in what a wonderfully complicated relationship it can be. And the one thing I wanted to do with the poems is I never wanted to make them cutesy, because I think cutesy would rob the pets of their identity. They're beautiful, they're adorable, they're cuddly, they're smart, they're intelligent, they're caring, they're infuriating. You know, it's a relationship. But they're not cute, and I didn't want the poems to be cute. And I think people appreciated that these weren't poems of, oh, fuzzy wuzzy. And that was really heartening. And I think that's what actually ended up getting me through my depression over my pets, because you do always find a community somehow. And I was very fortunate to find this community. And then because of that response, I sent it to my agent, and my agent said, forget it. And then he submitted it without telling me. And he called me up one day and said, listen, I submitted your stuff without telling you, and if it was bad news, I wouldn't tell you, and if it was good news, I would call you. So I'm calling you. And I've been very surprised ever since. But I think what it is, it's just, you need, with pets, you have to consider pets as each individual. I mean, we all do where pets are, this common, and they're all cute and cuddly. We all watch the videos, and I watch all the videos too. But pets need your attention, pets need your care, pets need your understanding, and it's a remarkable relationship. It can be a sadly short-lived one, but it's one of the most important ones you'll ever have. And to that regard, I did write one other poem here, which is, this is where I play Girl from Ipanema as I find this. Okay. Why are you screaming? Why are you screaming? What did I do wrong? Why are you crying? How can I make it right? Would you like it in a different color? Would you like it in a different size? Would you like it in a different room? I just wanted to show my love. I just wanted to express my thanks. I just wanted to put a dead mouse on your sheets. But now you are screaming, and I don't know how to make you stop. But, so basically what it comes down to is all these poems are based on moments I've had with my pets that I hope are universal moments. And it's the way I've used it to basically understand my own pets. And and I'm always very heartened when other people do. I had 3 dogs. First one was a Great Dane called Splash, because that's what happens when you let your 5-year-old name the dog. The second one was a beagle named Snoopy, because that's what happens when you have a son who overly identifies with Charlie Brown, minus the pre-adolescent alopecia and a more varied wardrobe. And then we had Panda, the name that actually works because my brother named the dog. And you form these friendships with these dogs, and that's what some of these poems here, and this one poem is about forming that friendship and how the dog sometimes has to do more of the work to a certain degree, but this is called Wingman. And I wag my tail, I tilt my head, I give a little wink. I flash my smile, I show my belly, I give a little lick. I do it all from sit to speak to attract women far and near. Then you chime in with something about fan fiction. And I realize we're going to die alone. That was my dog Panda. I have a tendency to not know when to stop talking. Maybe some of you will find that out during this presentation. And he would just, you've seen on dogs, the dog would just go. It's actually fun when you actually see a dog actually almost do its version of a facepalm. But as much fun as I have an absolutely blast writing these. But it really is, once again, I know I keep stressing this, but it really is extremely important to remember the relationships that you have with your pets. They're not accessories. They're not cute kind of additions. They are crucial members of the family. And I love doing this because I get to keep the memory of my pets. And I will probably keep writing this until people scream stop, because I have the time, cry for help, and but it's something I've just been remarkably fortunate that it could go this way. And the poem I'm going to read is actually, I wanted to tie back in to the nature of loss, which is what started this whole thing. And as much of a downer as that sounds, it is still, I think, actually an important process of the pet relationship. So it will get a little cheery after this. But this is, once again, these poems are all from the perspective of the pet. This will actually be I Need My Mommy. Adorable. So this is from the kitten. Not goodbye. I still smell the older cat on his favorite chair, on his favorite blanket, on his favorite toy, on me. I still smell the older cat, but I can't find him anywhere. And now his dish is gone, and now his bed is gone, and now you are crying, but I still smell the older cat, so tomorrow I will look again. And that was, after Boris passed away, Natasha did wander around the apartment looking for Boris, and eventually you do have to remove everything. But I think a lot of people, especially when it comes to cats, just assume they're rather indifferent. They sometimes acknowledge that you're there. They're actually surprised when I wake up on the couch and see someone lives in the house. And all that's true. But they are extremely caring, endearing, lovable creatures. And when Boris was ill, Natasha was there for him all the time. When Boris could no longer move his legs, Tasha would bring toys to him. And when Tasha was very ill, Tasha basically slept with him all the time. And they feel. And as I slowly make myself sad, but it is true. Now, I found out shortly before I went on that this was going to be recorded, and that's when I realized, oh, I'm wearing a cat shirt. Not a tie, not something that looks good, cat shirt. I also have a tendency, I'm going just to bend down. It's like, cat shirt, look at the thinning hair, cat shirt. It's going to look great on video, people. It's going to be fantastic. But the reason I actually chose this shirt was, I don't know if you can see, I don't know what that pose was, but it's a black kitten. Black kittens are notoriously have the toughest time to find a home of any cat. Black kittens are the ones that are usually most abandoned by their owners, and actually the feral ones are the most abused. And it's because of traditions that have gone back since the 1700s, the fear of black cats. Oddly enough, in England, black cats are good luck. They're a good sign. So I don't know what happened on that ship over. I have no idea. Maybe lead poisoning. Maybe it was like the Roman Centenalia. They just went nuts. I have no idea. This is what happens when you just drink out of pewter mugs all the time. I don't know. They lost it. So the reason I wrote this poem was strictly to promote the black cat. So this is, oddly enough, Black Kitten. I purr, I purr, I nuzzle, I lick, I cuddle, I run, I leap, I play, I sleep. But if you think all that is an evil omen, if you think all that is pure bad luck, then yes, you will endure great misfortune, because without me, your life will suck. To the point. But I am actually going to read, just to say, because I have not at this point, the dog poem. And I hope this is okay, my reading these poems. I hope I'm not like, oh, here we go again. I can sing, and that would be horrible. You know, we can discuss how scientists are trying to prove the universe is a hologram, and we but mere projections on another's eye. Discuss. But anyway, all right, so this poem is from the dog's point of view, And whenever I would have to travel, your dog, your cat always knows when you're going to leave. They always think you're making a run for it because they realize their ticket isn't by their bed, so they know it's just you. And they try to do everything at stop. Panda would actually hide my keys. Natasha would pee on things I was packing. There's a theme. And Boris would actually, the day I would wake up, he would actually sit on my face that morning. Boris at one point hit 22 pounds. That's a lot of face sitting. That's also a lot when the cat jumps on your lap when you're least expecting it. Especially when you just got the shot, it's a mess. But this is going somewhere. And this is from the dog's point of view. I know this routine, the gathered clothes, the miniature toiletries, the bag with wheels, handle, and zipper. I know what happens next. The short trip, the long trip, the time away from me. I know there's nothing left but the farewell licking, the final whining, the last-minute burying of all your ID. Like I said, I know this routine, and this time, Delta's leaving without you. I'm going to read one more poem, which ties back into the fact that as a child, I should never have been left to name any pet, and hence the raccoon named Mortimer, who fled. But in the naming of a pet, it isn't simply just an appellation you attach to it. It very much you start giving that pet a personality. And that pet's going to have its own personality, but it's always going to be tied into the name. So I feel bad for Splash and Snoopy. Panda got off scot-free, I believe. But this is, from the kid's point of view, this is My Name Is. So, my name is Fuzzles. My name is Nutters. My name is Fuzzles. My name is Nutters. My name is finally Fuzzles. My name is finally Nutters. My name is a point of contention between two little sisters until their father steps in and in the spirit of compromise dooms me forever to be known as Fuzznuts. So with that, Library of Congress, Fuzznuts. Is that on video? Are we good there? Just Oi, kittens. So does anyone have any questions regarding pets, pet poetry, comic strips, surefire gambling scenarios? I have no idea. We actually do have a question.
My name is Jackson. I was wondering, what gave you the inspiration for Sally Forth?
Here's the truth, actually, about Sally Forth. Sally Forth was written before I took it over. It came out when I was in middle school, so if I created it then, trust me, that would have been the first thing on the resume. But I had submitted a comic strip, and then the syndicate called, and they said, we love the strip, we're not syndicating it. So I thought, okay, now they're bored, and they're just calling people, and I figured it was going to all laugh and hang up. But they offered me the job at Sally Forth to write, which I've been doing since '97. I didn't know the strip Sally Forth when I got it. It didn't run in New York. I knew of it, but I didn't know it. So I just started reading as much as possible, and the first 3 years I wrote it, characters, I made the husband nuts, and it's worked out since then. But thank you for your question. Thank you very much.
Do you actually have like pets that inspire the poems? Like, did they actually do that kind of stuff?
Oh, very much so. I mean, you know, they counted all 1,000 rolls of toilet paper. They managed to actually get their head and butt stuck in two different things at the same time. They're talented creatures. Yeah, almost every poem in the book, in all three books, happened because of pets I've had or pets I've seen. If you live in New York City, you see a lot of dogs outside, so you get to see them running around, interacting with each other, sniffing like crazy. And yeah, so they're all from true things.
Also, I like your shirt.
Oh, thank you very much. See video? Likes the shirt. I don't know why I'm now antagonistic with the camera. The cameraman likes it. See, we're good. No. Thank you very much. Like the hair, by the way. Like the pink hair. Hello.
So So, are any of your poems like just from experiences that you've heard from other people with their pets?
Yeah. It's, there's a poem in the kitten book about a kitten realizing it's living with a lizard and shocked to find it's a lizard. And my cousin, her family has a German Shepherd, an Italian Greyhound, 2 cats, and a lizard that I'm pretty sure is a Komodo dragon. They just haven't convinced themselves that. And the cat does not know what to do with the lizard. It was shocked at first. It would just hide in whatever crevice, you know, made an apartment behind the refrigerator and lived there for a while. But it's, yeah, it really is that I had a cat where I got a little toy mouse and was happy to play with the toy mouse. This is Boris and Natasha, until they actually saw a real mouse and they freaked because that real mouse was not purple and fuzzy and, you know, not moving. So they were not good mousers. But yeah, they are all based. Thank you.
Are you planning to make any poems on bunny rabbits?
I would love that. I would love to, and it wouldn't just because of their jobs with hiding eggs. No, I would love to do bunny rabbits. I would love to do goats. I actually really want a pet piglet, but all of my friends and Manhattan real estate agents have tried to talk me out of this. It's going to happen, and I'm going to lose a lot, but this is going to be fantastic. But yes, I do hope to do that.
How old were you when you started writing?
I was 5 or 6 when I started doing comic strips. At age 10, I wrote what was not then called, I basically wrote a bucket list at age 10. But I wanted to do a comic strip, I wanted to do humor books, and I wanted to write for puppets. I also wanted to get into Jedi Academy, and that's not going to happen. There are Jedi Academies, but I do not want to be a 47-year-old Padawan. But yeah, it's start from the beginning, but at any age, just write, just do whatever you want. If this is the way you express yourself, write, draw, do it, keep doing it, and you're going to find something. It's a really enjoyable way, especially if you're shy. Hello.
Do you have any? What pets do you have now, or do you have any?
I do not have a pet currently because after my cats passed away, I wanted a little time alone. I'm getting a kitten this month. And thank you. And the name of the kitten will be determined when I actually meet the kitten. So it won't be like now. That cat's named Trafalgar. You know, it's not going to happen. Poor cat.
Why did you choose poetry over prose for your work? And do you plan to set the poetry to music?
Well, the poetry actually just seemed unnatural because it seemed like a way to do it in a brief form and to get the emotion across clearer than, say, an essay or a cat just going, this is why my owner's an idiot, and write a 42-page novella, which they could have done. You know, they could have done epic poetry, the 4 quartets by cats, you know, but it just, for me, it seemed natural. There is a book coming out next year that I wrote, which is actually essays, and it's advice from cats on how to live your life. So if you want a really self-involved life, that will be the book for you. But yeah, it just seemed normal. But thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it. I really had a great time. Thank you. Thank you very much.
This has been a presentation of the Library of Congress. Visit us at loc.gov.